Welcome to another study in our series on church history. Up to this point, what we've done is we have focused on the first century of the church, the first century AD. And all we did was look at how the church began, and we talked about the first martyr in Stephen, the first of the apostles to die in James. We looked at John the Apostle, the last of the surviving apostles, who was the only one really to die a natural death, as it were. And so we just wanted to walk through that New Testament period and get us to the end of the first century in the life of the church. As we move forward into now the second century and then beyond in later lessons, I want us to focus on some people and then some events. And during these lessons, we won't necessarily walk a straight timeline, but in these early lessons, that's what I would like to do. There was a man who was born in maybe 35 AD. Nobody really knows exactly when this particular man was born, but most scholars would suggest it was around 35 AD, which would have been a little bit beyond the time of the death of Christ, but certainly during those early years of the church, and his name was Ignatius. Ignatius was a man who was born in Ephesus, a city very important to the early history of the church, a city where the Apostle Paul had gone in his missionary journeys and had planted a church, and the church at Ephesus received no less than 5 of the New Testament letters, one of them being the letter that Jesus sent that's recorded in the book of Revelation chapter 2. So Ignatius must have grown up with a lot of truth related to the matter of the church. And Ignatius came to faith in Christ, and he grew, and he was learning from those early disciples. Well, like John the Apostle, and like Peter the Apostle, and like others in the first century, the thing that distinguishes Ignatius was his absolute commitment to truth. He was absolutely a preacher of truth. And he found that the matter of error and heresy and all of that was something that for him, he saw it as a danger to the future of the church. Well, as Ignatius continued to serve in the city of Antioch then, and as he moved into now the second century, he began to be an older man. At the age of 75, Ignatius was arrested. There was a wave of persecution that had broken out in the Roman Empire, and Ignatius was one of those that was caught up in that arrest. And at the age of 75, they came to martyr the man named Ignatius. In 110 AD, he was arrested and he was taken to be martyred. And he made an interesting statement. He said he called the people that were teaching false teachers beasts in the shape of men. You can imagine that didn't set too well with others that were hearing him. And as Ignatius went to his martyrdom, he made this statement: "Let me be fodder for the wild beasts. That is how I get to God." You know, without understanding it, the persecutors, the martyrs of believers, are doing the believer a favor. They are sending them from this world that is the enemy of grace to the place we know as home. And as Ignatius died, he made it very clear that he would never compromise his faith in order to live longer in a world that was not his home. I wonder for us today, I wonder for you and for me, if we're ready to live and die on behalf of our faith. I wonder if we're as willing to speak out against error as a man named Ignatius was. May we learn from the life of Ignatius that it takes, even at the age of 75, to stand firm on the truth. Join me again next time as we follow through with other men and women in the early history of the church.